Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve everything they want so easily while you feel stuck? No matter how hard you try, it's because they're cheating and breaking rules left and right. I'm Dominik and I helped countless of people breaking free from old patterns and finally take charge of their lives by using a cheat code that most people don't realize exists. So in this video, you will see why the rules you've been taught are keeping you stuck and what others do to get ahead, how to remove the mental blocks making everything harder, and the cheat code that makes progress feel easy and natural. You are at a tall building, trying to reach the top floor. So you start climbing the stairs, step by step, because that's what you've been taught. Hard work gets you there. But halfway up, you hear a ding and realize everyone else is using the elevator. While you're sweating and struggling, they're gliding effortlessly to the top. That's what happens when you follow the rules you've been taught while others play a completely different game and using different tools. The truth is, most of the rules you've been following were never designed to make you succeed. They were designed to keep you in line. Rules like success only comes through hard work. You've been taught that the harder you grind, the more you'll succeed. But if that were true, wouldn't everyone working long hours be at the top? Always wait your turn. Playing nice and waiting patiently may feel like being the moral thing to do, but in reality, it often just keeps you in the back of the line. Like when you've been quietly doing great work, hoping someone will notice, but the loudest person in the room gets the promotion instead. Don't rock the boat. You're told to avoid conflict and fit in, but those who succeed are often the ones who challenge the status quo and stand out. Follow the proven path. You've been taught to stick to the traditional route. Study hard, get a job, climb the ladder, die. But the people who thrive are often the ones creating their own path, not following someone else's. So I guess it's true, study hard to become employed by someone who didn't study at all. And of course, if you're good enough, people will notice. You might believe that staying humble and working quietly will eventually pay off. But in reality, those who get noticed are the ones who put themselves out there. And when you look at the rules, ask yourself, who do they really serve? Because it's not you. These rules were designed to maintain the system, not to help you win. And the people who seem to thrive effortlessly, they aren't working harder or are luckier. They are the ones who figured out which rules to break and how to rewrite the ones that actually work for them. And now you might think, what if I feel bad about breaking rules? That's a great question, and it's completely normal to feel that way. Let me tell you a story. There's a backpacker walking through the desert. He's exhausted, the sun is beating down on him, and he's dying for a glass of water. And eventually he stumbles on this old house. And there's an old guy sitting on the porch in a rocking chair, relaxing. The backpacker comes closer and says, sorry, can I get some water? And the old man gives him a glass. And while he's drinking, he notices this dog lying on the porch, letting out these low whines. So he asks the old man, what's up with your dog? And the old man barely looks over and goes, he's lying on a rusty nail. And the backpacker's confused, so he asks, then why doesn't he move? And the old man shrugs. I guess it doesn't hurt enough. It makes you think, how often are we the dog, lying on that rusty nail? Just complaining on how comfortable we are, but never moving. And we tell ourselves it's not so bad, even when it's slowly getting worse. Until one day that nail pushes into the flesh and we have to deal with the pain that comes afterwards and the infection accompanying it. After all, you've been conditioned your whole life that following the rules is the right thing to do, and that breaking them makes you selfish, lazy, and a bad person. But we don't dare to change because it might not hurt enough in that moment. But if we go on with our lives, at some point the rules we've been ignoring are pushing into our flesh and infecting everything. I don't know about you. What's your rusty nail? What are you ignoring for so long? Is it a job you hate but tolerate? A relationship that drains you? Or maybe it's that voice in your head telling you you're not enough. I know all this because I've been there myself. My rusty nail was fitting in and getting attention from others. And to get this, I played a role, and I unfortunately was very successful with it. And I finally got the attention of women I liked, but I never knew if they liked the real me or the role I played. And when I was at my lowest point, on the verge of ending it all, something stopped me. It was kind of like an inner voice that gave me a task. Question everything. So of course I asked back, everything?
Yes, everything.
Even this?
Yes, everything!
That became my mantra, my way out of darkness. I started to question rules not only society taught me, but also the beliefs I built my life around. And what I found out was breaking the rules wasn't about rebellion. It was about recognizing what felt to me as freedom and peace versus a prison of shoulds and have-tos. But here's the thing, for some people breaking the rules comes kind of naturally. They don't hesitate, they don't feel guilty, they don't hold themselves back. Why? Because they don't have the same mental blocks. Those invisible barriers in your mind that whisper, "You can't do that. What will people think?" Those blocks are the real reason it's so hard for you to rewrite the rules for yourself. They are fear, self-doubt, and guilt drilled into you over the years. And until you identify and even remove them, even the best cheat code will not help. So let's talk about those mental blocks. What they are, how they hold you back, and most importantly, how to get rid of them. Imagine trying to row a boat across the lake. You're putting in all your effort, paddling harder and harder, but no matter what you do, the boat barely moves. You're exhausted, frustrated, and wondering why it's so hard. Then you look over the side and realize the anchor is still down and is dragging along the bottom. The anchor is like mental blocks in your mind, fears, doubts, and beliefs that weigh you down and make every effort feel 10 times harder. So you don't need to paddle harder, you need to lift the anchor. And once you do that, the boat glides easily on the water. But until you do that, those blocks are not just sitting there, they grow and make everything worse. The fear gets louder, the doubt feels more real, and the guilt becomes heavier. So you start to push harder and harder, but it feels like you're running against a wall, running in quicksand whatsoever. And I know that because I've been there too. And of course, it sucks. And you might even think, because I thought that success might not even be for me, that I'm the one exception in the universe that is doomed. And it feels so true, but I want you to know it's not. It's not true. The problem isn't you. It's those blocks you're dragging around without even knowing that they're there. And if you don't let go of them, they keep holding you down while the people that figure that out seem to glide ahead with ease. So here's the question. Have you ever figured out whose rules you are following? Whose voice is behind those rules? Because when you really start to question that, you might figure out that many of these rules never came from you. And if you don't question them, they are not really go away. They take root. They convince you that staying small is safer and that playing by the rules will eventually pay off and that success is for others, not for you. But those mental blocks are not only about fear, doubt, or guilt. They're actually about control. Every time you held yourself back because you thought what others might think of you, or because you felt obligated to follow a rule, you were giving away control over your life. Think about it. When has someone else's approval ever made you truly feel free? At best, it's a fleeting feeling, like borrowing confidence and the next moment they take it back. It's like borrowing money from a friend to feel secure for a moment, but then they need it back with interest. Stupid. What friend would do that, giving you money and wanting it back with interest? That's not a friend, that's a business partner, and a really shitty business partner if you ask me. But the same thing happens when you rely on someone else's validation to feel worthy. Freedom doesn't come from meeting someone else's expectations. It comes from deciding that their opinions don't define your worth. And the moment you stop waiting for someone to say you're good enough is the moment those rules lose their power over you. That's when you take back control. So now let's talk about that cheat code. The thing that makes it all click and finally puts you ahead. So, you ready? The cheat code isn't about cutting corners or doing less. It's about aligning yourself so the effort you put in actually moves yourself ahead. It's like switching from trying to push a car up a hill to letting the engine do all the work. For example, imagine you're writing an email you've been dreading. Instead of writing every word, you let go of the fear of judgment and write naturally. That's alignment. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what feels effortless. And the secret to this is to drop the idea that progress needs to be a fight. Because you've been taught that struggle equals success. That if it's not hard, it's not worth it. But that belief is the very thing keeping you stuck. Now I know this might sound too simple and you're tempted to dismiss it. But that's not you, that's your ego. That's the resistance whispering,
"It can't be that easy, look somewhere else."
Why? Because the resistance, your ego, thrives on struggle. It needs you to believe that success needs to feel heavy or it will lose its grip on you. Think about it. When was the last time you were truly in flow? Maybe you were working on something you loved and time just disappeared. Or you had a conversation where you didn't need to overthink and counter-check every word you said. That's what it's like to not fighting against yourself anymore. And most people don't realize this because they're so used to carry that resistance all around with them. Doubts, fears, and mental blocks that act like brakes on their potential. So the cheat code isn't a trick. It's a shift. It's about seeing that the harder you push, the more likely you are working against yourself. But the people that thrive and succeed effortlessly aren't necessarily smarter than you or more talented. They've just learned how to remove the resistance. They're playing the game without the brakes on. That's why it looks so easy. Playing the game without the brakes on. Who wrote this? So if this sounds too easy, ask yourself, who benefits from me thinking success has to be hard. Because the moment you stop fighting resistance and let go of the need to prove yourself, you will realize that progress doesn't have to be a fight. So the real cheat code isn't about doing less. It's about what feels easy for you and aligns with who you are. And when you stop dragging that resistance with you, success isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But here's one more thing most people never realize. Resistance doesn't just show up in big life decisions. It's in the small, everyday tasks. Have you ever wondered why sending an email or working out feels so hard? Even though these tasks are very simple and you actually wanted to do them? It's not laziness, and it's definitely not a lack of discipline or motivation. The truth is, what we've been told about laziness and motivation is a big lie. And if you don't uncover this, you'll keep falling into the same traps. And it doesn't have to be that way. So click here and find out what that lie about laziness is. I'll see you there.